There's only one red flag that you need to be aware of. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but I've been a coach and a therapist for over 15 years. And I need to say something loudly about the narc recovery space. The red flag checklists, the quizzes, the 47 signs that he's a narcissist, they aren't serving you. That type of content isn't educating you. It is monetizing the most painful moments of your life. It is handing a woman who is already exhausted, already doubting herself, and already desperate to understand what happened to her, a 50-item checklist. Does that make any sense? Then that person is responsible for memorizing these lists in order to protect themselves. As if the problem was you didn't study enough or know enough before you got into this relationship. And then the requirement to avoid a relationship like this again is to become a counselor and learn everything about narcissism. This is not healing. This is a second job keeping you focused on the wrong thing. So today I want to give you something different. One framework that's clinically grounded, that you can carry for the rest of your life and not have to Google again. In 15 years of clinical work, I have seen every kind of difficult relationship. Relationships with communication problems, relationships with attachment wounds on both sides, relationships where both people are struggling, and relationships where emotional abuse was present. The thing that distinguishes abuse from difficulty is not a personality disorder. It is not a diagnosis, and it's not a checklist of behavior. It is the presence or absence of one thing: accountability. Real accountability. Not the performance of it, not the apology that arrives when he can see you pulling away, not the tears that make you feel like you're responsible for his pain, not the promise that things will be different this time. Real accountability has three things, and it requires all three things to be real. First, he can name the specific harm, not the "I'm sorry you felt that way" or the "I'm sorry, but." He says, "I did a specific thing, and it caused this specific harm." No justification attached. Number two, his remorse belongs to him, not you. This is the one that most women miss. When someone is genuinely accountable, their remorse does not become your emotional labor. They do not need you to comfort them for their own pain from their own behavior. Real remorse is quiet. It asks nothing from you. Number three, behavior changes without you monitoring it, without you reminding him, and without it reverting back the moment you let your guard down. In my practice and my personal life, I have seen the first two being performed magnificently, with tears, with sincerity, and what looked like from the inside a genuine reckoning by people who never changed a single pattern. The behavior change sustained over time is the real key here. Everything before that is information. And that information is useful, but it's not repair, and it's not healing for you. Now, I want to take this out of the relationship framework and move it into the body, because this is where my clinical work lives and where your healing actually happens. When you are in a relationship where accountability is consistently absent, where harm happens and then gets denied or turned back onto you, your nervous system learns something. It learns that your perception is unreliable, that bringing your experience into the room leads to pain, that the safest thing to do is manage instead of confront the behavior. And here is the part that matters right now. Whether you're in the relationship still or you're not, when you receive that long checklist of red flags, you start running every new person through that checklist. Your nervous system doesn't experience that as safety, even though you think that knowing more will create safety. It actually experiences it as the same job it had within the relationship. Scan, monitor, evaluate, protect. The difference between hypervigilance and discernment is not what you're looking for. It is where that desire to look is coming from. Hypervigilance looks outward. It scans the other person's behavior. It asks what that person is doing. What does this mean? Is this a sign of something? Whereas discernment looks inward. It asks, what am I experiencing? What has actually happened over time? What does my body know that I haven't allowed myself to say out loud? That shift from tracking him to tracking your own experience is the nervous system shift that we need. And it starts with one question. Not the question of, are there red flags, or does he qualify for a diagnosis? Not what is wrong with him, but this question. What am I experiencing? Is there genuine accountability? Am I noticing behavioral shifts? And is there repair? Well, I guess that's more than one question, but they're all really important questions to ask yourself. I want to give you something really practical before we close. The next time you're trying to figure out whether or not someone is narcissistic, I want you to notice that impulse and redirect it. Not because the question isn't valid, but because the answer to that question lives in a different lane. When we're constantly trying to swerve into their lane, trying to figure out their psychology, their diagnosis, their history, it interferes with our ability to drive. Stay in your lane and ask yourself, what have I experienced with this person? Not what you may think may happen. When you brought up something that hurt you, what happened? Was there an acknowledgement? Was there remorse that belonged to them? Did anything actually change? If yes, consistently without you having to manage it, that is evidence that your nervous system is starting to feel safe. If no, or you're not sure, or if every time you think about bringing something up, your chest tightens, that's information. That is your body already knowing before your mind has caught up. In relationships like this, you are trained to doubt yourself. Teaching your nervous system to trust itself again, well, that is the work. I want to leave you with this. The reason why you exhausted yourself trying to study those lists and understand that other person's behavior is because you're trying to understand something that is meant to be deliberately confusing. That is not a failure of your abilities. That is a testament to how hard you tried to make sense of something that was never going to make sense from the outside. So come back to your lane. Come back to your experience. Come back to the one question that lives on your side. If this resonated, please share this video with someone who is still studying those lists. And reminder, she doesn't need another list. She needs permission to trust what she already knows. And if you're ready to do the deeper level work, you can check out the link in the description below. And if you're ready to tackle those feelings of guilt, you can check out this video up here.